so we're going to do a little bit of unboxing. Obviously I already opened them, but I haven't really taken it all out yet. So, Tein coilovers. So we got the passenger side front coilover on. It was a real pain in the ass. So I'm going to go ahead and film everything for the other side, that way everybody can see. But there's the new coilover. Pretty much everything's put back in. I haven't really torqued anything yet or anything like that, just because we can't set the car back down anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and start on the other side and show you guys how this went and see what happens. I will say, so I went ahead and removed the brake caliper, a couple of the brake lines, the bracket that holds the brake line on the back, just to give myself more clearance. Then you take out the bolt down at the bottom here that holds the coil on, or the shock on, and you take these two out up here and the whole shock will come off. What I had the most trouble with is this bolt, which takes the upper mount, which you have to reuse on these coilovers. Getting that out didn't happen at all. I ended up cutting the damper on the old strut and then clamping it in the vise to get that nut out. I literally let these soak overnight with PB Blaster and came back in the morning and tried to do it again, and it just would not come off. I mean, car's got 130,000 miles on it. I'm pretty sure this is the original suspension, so I'm not really too surprised. But that's what took the most amount of time. And then getting the shock put back together with the new top mount and everything was also kind of confusing. But we figured it out. You got to cut a couple of the bump stops and some other couple things. So we'll go over that once we get this one out. And but let's go ahead and get started. Got a little messy there at the end. But what we're going to do now is, okay. So I'm going to show you the way you're supposed to do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and do it the way I did it. Because honestly, I'm tired of messing with these things. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to compress the spring. Alright, so the way that you're supposed to do this would be something like this. You'd use that wrench there, and you'd put this wrench right over the top, and then theoretically break these loose. I struggled with the other one for hours, so we're just going to go ahead and skip that whole process, and I'm going to cut this piston right here. And then we will be able to just pull it out, and then we'll snap this piece in the vise. That way we can get more torque on this bolt and get it out that way. Alright, now that we got that out, all this will come off, and we'll go ahead and loosen the springs. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, this way we can get a little bit more torque on this bolt, we're going to clamp this in here. Now we need to reuse this gasket, so we got to be careful that we don't mess that up. We're going to clamp this in here real good. Now hopefully we should be able to get this loose. Oh my gosh. Just to remind you, this one and the other one have both been soaked in PB Bolt Blast for overnight. So don't think that my attempts to get this bolt out were futile. I messed with these probably for about 2 hours yesterday. And then about another hour today. And finally decided it wasn't going to happen and cut it. So, Jesus. This one is being more stubborn than the last one. Alright, well, this one is being more of a pain in the ass than the other one. So I'm going to spray it and soak it again. Really freaking annoying. Alright, so after clamping it in the vise again, and spraying it, and using the rattle gun, I finally got it off. Which gives us this piece, which we're going to need to reuse. And this little washer. So now we're going to go ahead and, according to the Tein instructions, both of these boots, rubber stop boots, need to be cut down. So we're going to go ahead and put those in the vise and measure them and cut them. When you cut the white one, make sure that you cut the right side, because one side of the bushing is, the inside diameter is smaller, and that's the side that you want. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and reassemble the new shock. And, actually, no, I'm sorry, we got one more thing to do. So there was a gasket between the upper hat and the washer that holds this bushing. There's a washer that goes on the top here that holds this bushing in. There's a gasket between that washer and the car. There's no gasket here, but I'm going to put one there because it's metal on metal surfaces, and I just don't want them to squeak. So we're going to go ahead and cut those out real quick. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put our new shock together, our new coilover together. So first thing that goes on is this white ring. We're going to go ahead and bump these up some. When you're doing your adjustments and when you first settle your coil, you want to make sure that this tab lines up. See how it drops into place? So it's going to spin a little bit while we're installing, but before you release it, you want to make sure that this is set in place. We're going to go ahead and spin these up. I have the other side. Nissan recommends the Tein recommends an inch, 1.18 inches for the height here. I don't know what the deal is exactly yet, but that seems a little low. So we put it at about 1.5 inches, which we'll measure once we get it in the car. So we put that on, and then let's see here. So we put that on, then we're going to put the bump stop on. Oh, this is the wrong side. The right bump stop piece. So we put the plastic ring on, and then we're going to go ahead and put this piece on. Then we put the boot on. The boots are 2 different sizes. As you can see, there's one that's a little bit bigger. The back coilovers are bigger, so I'm assuming the bigger boot goes on that one. We're going to go ahead and slip this on, just like that. And then this little ring goes on. Alright, next piece that goes on is the collar. The side with the lip goes facing down. Then we're going to put the spring on. Okay. Now we've got our OEM bump stop with the side we cut off facing down. And then we have it calls for next the rubber seal, but mine are actually stuck to the bottom of these things, so I didn't want to take them apart. There's a groove in here where you can see where the old spring sat. So we're going to go ahead and line that up with this groove on here. So that'll sit right in there like that. And then we got the upper bushing, which by the way, while we're here, I actually sprayed, since I am reusing the OEM bushings, I bought some silicone spray, and I'm just giving them a dusting of silicone spray just to help lubricate them and hopefully prevent any squeaking later. We'll put this guy back on. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one. This silicone spray smells terrible, by the way. So, go ahead and get that soaked up. And we're going to put that right on top of here. And then now for my homemade gaskets. Got one's going to go on right here. Like I said, there was no gasket here before, but I'm putting one on to hopefully prevent any squeaking or anything between these two pieces of metal. This paper gasket material that I got, it's not really paper, it's kind of rubber. It's rubber gasket material. It's meant for sealing timing covers, fuel pump mounting, differential covers, and distributor bases. So like I said, it's a little bit rubbery. It's not quite paper, so I figured that'd be good for this. The washer goes on, believe it or not, this raised side goes facing down. I only know that because when somebody oversprayed my engine bay, they left red paint on here. So that piece goes on like that. And then my other gasket, which I didn't finish cutting the circles out of. Got this gasket's going to go right on top. Bingo. And then we got our top washer. This one goes right in the middle. And then we have our locking nut for the damper. Again, I don't know exactly what I'm going to have these set at just yet, so we're just going to kind of tighten this down as best as we can. When you're tightening this bolt, again, this is something specified in the Tein manual. You do not want to let this shaft spin. It's hollow, first of all, because it has the adjustment that goes through it. And it also, there's some locking nuts and washers and stuff like that inside the damper, and you don't want to loosen those. So just be careful with that. We're going to go ahead and put the cap back on the damper adjustment, and there's our fully assembled coil. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed in the car and go from there. So I'm going to set the camera back up where it was on that side, and then we'll get it put back in. Alright, and that is it for the front coilovers. Obviously, I don't know about the adjustments. Like I said, the manual says 1.18 inches in here. If I do that, it makes the spring loose in here, full extension. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, obviously that would never happen unless the wheels were off the ground. But I made it about 1.5 inches, and that makes everything tight in here. So also you can see the dampening nut is sticking out pretty far, about 1.25 inches. Again, that might need to be adjusted, but we'll figure that out. They give a torque spec for this, but I don't really see how you're supposed to torque that, because you would need to hold this with the wrench, like kind of what we were showing with the old ones, while you torque that, which means you have to use a wrench. And I'm not really sure how that will work out, because I only have ratchets. So, yeah, I don't know. But that's about it for the coilovers, the fronts. This little knob goes in here, and this way would be stiffer. It should be on the stiffest already, so we're going to go ahead and count back. It should be 16 clicks. Okay, so we were about 1 click off, so this is going to be our first. We're going to go up to 16, and then we're going to go back 6. So we'll go 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that is the stiffest for the dampening right there. They recommend you go 6 back, so we're going to go back 6. Obviously, we might adjust that in the future too, but we're going to start there and see how it goes. I'll see you guys on the back ones. Alright, so to access the top mounts for the back shocks for the new coilovers, you have to basically take your entire trunk apart. So the panel comes off first, then you just basically work your way around. Lucky for me, half of the screws and stuff were already missing, so it took me 4.5 minutes. It's probably going to take you a little longer. Just work your way around. There's screws. Once you take off one panel, there's usually some screws for the next panel that were behind that panel, so just keep your eyes open, and it goes pretty quick. But now you can see where the top of the shocks are here, and we're going to head underneath and see what we got going on down there. Alright, so we're moving on to the back coilovers. We got the driver's side rear one. Wasn't too bad, a lot easier. No cutting required. The brake caliper's on the other side, so we don't need to take that off. But I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up on the other side and then show you guys the breakdown. And then we'll put the new shock together and put it back on. And this one we should have done in about 45 minutes. Now we're just going to go ahead and assemble the new shock. There's no cutting of bump stops or anything like that on the rear ones, as far as I know. So, alright, so what we do is we got the shock. We're going to put this this washer that's already on here on first, and then the pump stop, which is already on, and then the boot, dust boot, goes on next, and then we're going to go ahead and move these up a little bit. And then we got the spring, like that. And then we got the stop. So these were the old stops. They look like cups. I don't think we use those anymore. We're going to go ahead and put this washer on here. And then we put the factory stop. It says something about a sleeve. It says install this part if included in OE parts, which it's not, so I guess that's for different model 300Zs. So we got that, and then we go ahead and put this piece on next, which again, it's got a little groove where the old spring was, so we'll just try to get that lined up. And then we put the upper mount on, and then so now this is where there we go. And then we got this upper rubber washer, goes right in the middle. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and spray all these with my silicone spray again, just to give them a little refresh and hopefully cut down on any squeaking or anything like that. So we'll spray that one, spray this one. And then again, this spray I'm using is just silicone spray, lubricant. It says slick coating and waterproofing. Obviously, we're not actually trying to seal anything or anything like that. We're just putting that on there as a little bit of lubrication for the for this whole assembly, and to hopefully try to cut down on the squeaking. And spray this little guy. And then we got this washer, this nut. Oh, no, wait, this is the old nut. That's the old nut. We need the new nut. That goes back on the top. Then we're going to put the dust cap back on for right now. And there we go. Pull this boot in here. There we go. New rear shock with the old upper reassembled and everything like that. Again, I don't know about these adjustments yet, so I've just been kind of adjusting it so it stays together for installation for right now. Alright, I'm going to get the camera set back up on the fender and then we'll get it installed. Alright guys, so we got our coilovers all installed. Here's one of the front ones. New brake calipers. We'll be seeing that in a future video. And here's the back one. Both sides, same thing. Connects down there. So that's going to be it for this video because it's already like a half hour long. So we'll do another video for the adjustments and the test driving review. So I'll see you in the future on that one.